I'm Stephanie Brendel, and this short film, Upstream, is paying homage to French director Claire Denis. Firstly, I chose this shot because Denis loves establishing shots of landscapes and includes several layers of the landscape in her films. For example, this shot has the trees as one layer, the river and the tree and plants at the front as two more layers. I used a font for the title card that is very similar to the one she used in the film Beau Travail. I thought this was a beautiful shot, and since the film is called Upstream, a river seemed fitting. This river is the site of my reminiscing. Water and shots of water are a motif that Denis uses frequently. Although Denis does not use this, I like the transition with water and cross-dissolving. It's beautiful, and I thought it well represents the nebulousness of water and the film itself. Denis likes to use shots that are perhaps longer than average, so I did as well. This actress, Darby, who plays me, is sitting by the river and catches sight of a man. I am reminded of my friend from long ago. The fact that this is a memory project is quite fitting, because all of the films I have watched by Denis have been a person remembering their past. So the film establishes a character and then dives into the story, just as Denis do. Here we have a long, slow pan that is typical of Denis. Me and my friend are walking into a room. This is both to introduce the setting of the short scene and a metaphorical way for me to walk into my own memory, following after my friend. You can see here that I've dressed myself in white and my friend in black. I met this friend when I was quite young and innocent. My friend was older and had something of a dark side, so the white represents the purity and the black represents his darkness. Denis also dressed as Sergeant Galloop in Beau Travail in black, supposedly for the same reason. The main goal I had in this film was to show actors interacting with their environment. I wanted to study both the relationship between the actors and their environment, so I tried to show them within a space, interacting with the space and invading the space, as Denis puts it herself. I asked the actor playing my friend to be rather uninterested and distant, and the actress playing myself to look happy and excited. The refusal of the cigarette highlights my innocence, and the fact that my friend is smoking a cigarette highlights his own maturity and darkness. All of the shots that I have included in this film are very simply composed and very bare. Denis' shots are never elaborate. The mise-en-scène is simple and enough to establish a setting. This draws attention to the actors themselves and their performances, the way they position their body and interact with the space. The inclusion of the splatter on the wall and the yellow pole establishes a rough, industrial environment that I am somewhat out of place in with a white shirt and colorful belt. This shot includes a slow descent of my friend losing himself in the music. I try to follow suit, trying to lose myself in the music the same way he does, rather awkwardly and innocently. The use of music is a major part of Denis' filmmaking process. She listens to music while writing the script and is careful in her selection of the music in the film. I chose this song because I felt it had a sense of danger and urgency, which Denis always strives to create. The song changes suddenly so it appears both diegetic and non-diegetic. This is very characteristic of her film Beau Travail. This dancing scene is also commonly seen in her films, most famously Beau Travail, where a character who is otherwise quite composed loses themselves as they listen to music and truly let loose in their dancing. I instructed the actor to try to lose himself in the dancing. Denis does not really use match cuts, but I thought this one worked nicely because it cuts quickly from spontaneous, wild dancing back to the composed solemnness of my friend. Denis likes to generally use hard daylight in her films, with strong shadows and bright highlights and generally a high saturation, so I tried to emulate this in my films. She also likes to keep the lighting as natural as possible, so I tried to use minimal lighting and utilize the natural light that was available. I look at him, sort of getting a glimpse of his dark side for the first time, and there is the typical jarring cut to a flat shot of the character's face, like they are breaking the fourth wall at a critical moment. This critical moment is me seeing him for the first time as he really is. I directed my actor to try and look as dead inside as he had previously. This is another shot with layers of a landscape. Denis includes many shots of the sky, often studying the way the clouds move in relation to what is in the foreground. I thought this would be a good way to abruptly jerk the audience out of the excitement of the previous scene. In the story, my friend has gotten into a car accident and damaged his car severely. He must flee so he does not get in trouble, and I try to get him to stay. Denis likes to create a sense of danger but play with it at the same time. So in the previous scene, I had a light and happy situation with a sense of danger, and in this scene, I have a serious situation but with a calm and composed atmosphere. Denis poses her actors very specifically, and their blocking is almost always clearly very deliberate. So I posed my friend at the top of the mound of debris, and me behind him at the bottom of it, to show the distance between us that I will never cross, and the power my friend has over me. Denis loves wide shots, so again I have included a multi-layered wide shot. This bathtub scene is basically a metaphor for my friend leaving. The water transition is used again to continue the theme of water and the murkiness of memories. In this shot, I really got a chance to examine my friend's body, just as Denis examines the male body as a symbol for masculinity. My friend is very deliberately posed, so his head, face, and neck are emphasized, and his movements and expression are very obvious. I also wanted the movement of the water to be studied by the audience, a hypnotic effect, just like my friend has on me. Essentially, my friend flows away with the river, or down the drain with the bathwater. He escapes like water from my hands that will always drip out when I try to close them. Denis often uses shots that are symbolic of something else, and unclear whether or not they are real, establishing the fact that the narrator is rather unreliable because it is told by his or her own memories. We come back to me at the same spot that I was at before, but the shot is closer because through viewing this memory, the audience has gotten to know me a little bit, and I am not so distant now. It cuts back to the man, exactly as it was in the beginning, to show how a whole memory can happen in an instant and can be triggered by seemingly insignificant things. The man is leaving to communicate the memory, and the film are ending. Denis likes to end things on a somewhat happy note, often concluding with a shot that is unclear to the audience whether or not it is real. The final shot of Beau Travail was actually the shot of the strict and severe Sergeant Galloop losing himself and dancing in music. It is symbolic of moving on, but still holding on to a little bit of the past. Denis' shots do not necessarily make sense, so the fact that they are talking and laughing and relaxed in a field with flowers was more my own hunch and an attempt to capture the essence of Denis' films, rather than to be anything particularly significant. I felt the song I chose was cheerful, but still rather artificial in relation to the film, to establish that it is not necessarily meant to be serious. The ending of the film Chocolat by Denis is quite analogous to the ending that I chose, I feel. I think I just escaped into my own fantasy, and that can be my conclusion. And again, we have credits in a similar font with a black background, just as Denis has them. I hope my commentary has clarified anything that may have been left a question in my film. Denis always loves to leave the audience asking questions, so I tried to do that as well, but answer them in this commentary.